Hello, hello everyone. It's been 10 days since my last video blog. Not that any of you will have noticed or cared. So I thought it was about time that I updated the blog a little bit. I'll start off with the obligatory apologies. Apologise for my appearance, my face in general. I need to apologise for that. And apologise for the lighting as always because, this webcam is crap. The lighting in here, as always, is fantastic. But the webcam is absolute rubbish. So today, there hasn't really been a lot in my life over the last 10 days, if I'm honest. Most people in my course are on placement, and I am taking a replacement module, but we've been given very free rein in terms of what we do for that. And our assignment hand-in date isn't until the middle of January, and we have no taught sessions. So at the moment I have a lot of free time, and that kind of blows. I wanted to get back to uni so that I would have a bit more routine, but that hasn't really happened. I haven't gone out at all in the last 10 days because I haven't really had the cash to do so. I'm trying to save some money, and with everyone being on placement, very few of my friends have actually been out. So yeah, it's the Halloween all-nighter at Rock City in Nottingham next weekend, and I will be at that. So I'm saving my cash for then. I've also missed quite a few gigs as well because of cash shortage. So my social life has really suffered because of the lack of money. The only other sort of notable thing that's happened to me since the last time we spoke is on Thursday night I had a hypoglycaemic episode, and it went really far, and I was really out of it, and my housemates, Des and Hannah, called for an ambulance. So I was seen to by paramedics. I was a little bit rude to the paramedics, I suppose, but in quite a jokey, sort of cheeky way, rather than a complete bastard kind of way. Although I felt kind of justified in doing so a little bit, because one of the paramedics asked me if anyone was going to be spending the night with me, and I was like, well, obviously I've got flatmates. You've met my flatmates, so they'll be here all night. They're like, well, no, that's not what I meant. I knew what she meant. She was implying, was there going to be anyone staying in my room, staying with me, i.e. a partner or something, of which you all know there isn't. So I kind of turned it round on her a little bit. I was like, well, why are you asking? I'm very flattered, but you're not really my type, kind of thing. And then I kind of just sat there and was like, no, I will be alone tonight, as always. I made a Forever Alone reference. So there we go. I got myself into a real state. When I came around, the t-shirt I was wearing was very sticky. I had no idea why. And it turns out it's because I've been drooling on myself. Always attractive, I know. Apparently, Hannah and Des were trying to talk to me, and I had a very glazed look over my eyes. I wasn't responding to anything. I was just sort of sat there with drool pouring out of my mouth. So, not my greatest moment, I admit. Other than that, I haven't really done anything of worth at all. I've had some nice Skype conversations. There's someone in my life who, I don't know, comes back to me every now and again for like reassurance, and she needs help. And it's someone that I've had very strong feelings for, but that's not the reason that I'm even sticking around anymore. I don't help her now because of the way that I felt or still feel about her. I do it because I feel like I have to. There's so little in my life at the moment I really care about. My life isn't really going in any kind of great direction, and that's not me just feeling sorry for myself. That's just stating just stating it. So yeah, I kind of feel like in order to give my life some meaning and in order to sort of save myself, I need to help save her. Trouble is, she's not really ready to be saved yet. Um, you know, you can try and save people, but at the end of the day, until they're ready to be saved, it's just not possible. So it's kind of been messing with my head a bit. And after the incident on Thursday night, I had a bit of a strange night because um, I didn't fall asleep until gone 8 a.m. I'm a late nighter anyway, it's usually gone 5. If I don't have to be up in the morning that early, then I won't go to bed till at least 5 anyway, normally. But I just couldn't sleep at all. Sleep was just impossible because I had so much on my mind. I was physically and mentally drained from the incident, but I just had so much going on in my head that I just couldn't sleep. So yeah, anyway, I kind of talked about that a bit more than I intended to. I've had some input from other people. Someone asked me what my idea of a perfect date would be. Ideally, it would be with a redhead that I fancied, obviously. And in terms of activities, which I'm guessing is more what they're talking about rather than the person. I don't know, to be honest. I'd kind of like to do like an all-day kind of thing, especially on a first date. I know a lot of people that will just start off with just a coffee and a chat. But I like to kind of get in there and really, like, the chances are, if I'm going out on a date with someone, I'm already past that sort of first coffee chat phase with them. So I like to get in there and do a full day of something. Whether it's a day in a city, just wandering around, doing a bit of window shopping, just an opportunity to get to know each other. I won't usually go to the cinema or anything like that on a first date because it doesn't present you with an opportunity to talk and really get to know each other. That's the kind of date thing that I would do when I was involved with somebody. So first date, I would, ideally there would be a romantic surrounding, a park on a sunny day or something like that. But I've always said that something like that doesn't really matter. It's the company that matters more than the place. As long as we had an opportunity to really talk and get to know each other, I'd quite happily just sit in a coffee shop all day and talk to them. But to make it a perfect day, I guess we would spend the day getting to know each other, maybe have a bit of food, then in the evening go to a gig. Ideally, it would be a gig that we both, with bands playing that we both appreciated. And again, I know there's only so much you can do while the bands are playing, but anyone who's been to gigs knows there's a lot of changeover times, the times waiting around before and after the gig. Plenty of times to chat, and we could talk about our shared music interest or even the differences in our music interests, and we would enjoy the music together because music is like my big passion in terms of it's the only real constant I've got in my life that I really love. So obviously I would like to share that with somebody, because if I'm not going to be able to get along with them in that kind of surrounding, I'd like to know sooner rather than later, because it just makes things difficult otherwise. So yeah, I guess that would be my sort of perfect date idea. The next question, right, I had a few drinks last night on my own, and I said that maybe someone who has a bit of a history with drinking problems like me shouldn't drink on my own. When I say drinking problems, when my mother died, I very much used drink as a crutch. I was drinking every day, excessively. We're not just talking a glass of wine here, we're talking excessively. I nearly got fired from work several times for working drunk. I even stole from work to help pay for the drink. Sort of. Back then, I was a lager drinker as well, and lager does things to me. It makes me very aggressive. So I was driving people away with my antisocial drinking and behaviour because of the drink. And that's sort of how I dealt with my mother passing, because that's something that I've never really dealt with. Even now, it's been years now, and still not over it. I don't think I'll ever be over it. Um, but that's a whole different issue. So yeah, but eventually I stopped drinking quite so much, and again there was an incident on my last placement where I was withdrawn from the placement 2 days before the end on medical grounds, and that devastated me. It absolutely destroyed me. I just spent 6 weeks before that living on my own, going weeks at a time without speaking to anybody outside of school. With the workload that we had on and the fact that I wasn't sleeping, it was really hard for me anyway. And then to be so close to the end of the placement and then be withdrawn on medical reasons that I didn't agree with was really difficult. And I spent the next 5 weeks drinking every single day. I ran up big debts. I spent all my money. My dad had to bail me out again. So I do have a tendency to sort of use alcohol as a crutch sometimes, and when I do drink, I get a bit silly with it. But the thing with I wouldn't say I was an alcoholic though. But then I think the whole idea of alcoholism is that the alcohol has a control over you, and if you stop drinking it altogether, like you just completely abstain from drinking altogether, it still has a hold over you. It might be that the hold is that you're not drinking, but it still has that kind of power and control over you, and that's not really dealing with it. I think really dealing with an alcohol problem is more knowing when to stop. I know it's an addiction, and I've been addicted to it. I have an addictive personality. I get addicted to things all the time, to quite disturbing levels, and it's dangerous. It's difficult. But you have to learn to control that in other ways. I'm not saying that all alcoholics can do that. I'm just saying I think that should be sort of like something that people look into more, rather than just abstaining completely from alcohol, because then it still has that control over you. But there we go. And the final input I've had from somebody else was, if you could change one thing about society, what would it be? Let's see. First of all, I would get rid of all of the Jews. No, I'm joking. That was a joke. I'm not against the Jews. I'm not into anti-Semitism. I was joking, so please don't be offended by that. I don't know, really, to be honest. First of all, I would make every woman in the world a redhead. It makes my job so much easier. Because I want to be with a redhead, and I won't be with someone if they're not a redhead, it just makes my life so much easier, and makes it easier to find a woman if every woman was a redhead. So there, that's one thing I would change about society. All women, I'm not, natural redheads can stay that way, but I'm talking about the sort of like the really bright, fiery postbox red. Any kind of shade of red, really, even to the point where it was pink, a pinky red. As long as it's a shade of red, I think that's how I would change society. What else would I change? I suppose I should say something like get rid of world hunger, no more wars, etc., etc. But let's be honest, that's not going to change. War is in human nature. If we weren't fighting over religion or politics or anything else, we'd find something to fight over, because it's just in human nature to fight. And that's not really a change in society. Is it change in society? I don't know. It's a difficult question to answer, to be honest, because I don't really think. Obviously in an ideal world we'd get rid of racism, we'd get rid of sexism, we'd get rid of everything that's considered negative, but to be honest, as difficult as those negative things are for people, if we didn't have that kind of negativity in our society, we wouldn't appreciate all the positive things that we do have. It's a yin yang kind of thing. It's supposed to balance it out. So we need negative things in our life and society in order to appreciate the good things and to help us strive. If everything was perfect the way it was, we'd become quite complacent as a people, I would think, and as a society. I don't think we'd be trying to better ourselves. I think we'd stop trying to discover things. I think we'd stop philosophizing. I think we'd stop debating. I think we'd stop discussing things, and that's a shame because I think that's a big part of human discovery. The fact is that we're not perfect, and this idea of perfection um, is, it's just not possible. It's subjective. So someone's idea of something good is different to somebody else's. So I don't know, change in society. I'm going to go with something very flippant and jokey. I'm just going to say all women are redheads because that just makes it easier for me. I'd still like women to differ in other ways. I wouldn't want them to all look the same. I wouldn't want them all to have the same size breasts or bottom or have the same interests. But just the hair, just that hair, just to make my life a lot easier. So yeah, and also, in an ideal world, society would just give me everything that I want all the time. That's a joke. That's a really difficult question. Hippie ideal answer. Wealth would be shared equally. We'd all get taxed the same, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, I'm not really sure how to answer that question. So I'll kind of leave it there with the everyone's a redhead. That's the change to society I would make. Right, I've kind of run over the time limit that I sort of set myself, so the input from you people has run out, so I will leave it there. Thanks for joining me again, and I'll speak to you next time.